Hey guys, let's talk Beyond the Gates for today, April 13th, 2026. So we start this episode at Orphe Jeans with Marcel and Leslie. And Leslie is trying to get Marcel to tell her where he's taking her on a date, and he's trying not to tell her. And they're just having banter back and forth, and while they're having banter back and forth, um, at the hospital, no, sorry, while they're having banter back and forth, Ashley walks into Orphe Jeans, and Leslie is friends with Ashley's mother. So of course she's going to speak to Leslie. And so Ashley speaks to Marcel and Leslie, and she kind of makes mention that, her boss is kind of riding her kind of hard at work and all of that. And she just is coming to pick up food and leave real quick so that she doesn't get in trouble. I did not know until this episode that Ashley is now in a supervisory a position. She ain't even been she only been a nurse for a year, and she is already a on a supervisory position. Good for her, I guess. Um Meanwhile, back at the hospital, Nicole is in her office, and Leah comes in, and she's like, "Do you know who could have been in your office, and what they were looking for, since they weren't looking for patient data?" And Nicole is feeling bad because she got all kinds of drama happening at work, with Leslie, coming in the hospital trying to do an um we don't even see her no more. Her name is escaping me. Trying to do, and her assistant. What's her assistant name, y'all? Put it in the comments because my mind is going blank, and I can't even think about what the little girl name is. Laura. That's her name. Laura, she tried, came in the hospital and, tried to off Laura. So, Nicole's feeling, like she brings all kinds of danger into the hospital, and now somebody is breaching her computer, but that somebody is her son-in-law. I I don't know. That I am still really pissed off with Smitty for doing that, because like that's your mother-in-law and that's her place of employment, and this is what you want to do so that you can be like some major news breaking reporter. You risk your mother-in-law's livelihood. That's crazy. I mean, Nicole gonna be okay either way, but I just don't feel like he should have did that. Like, not your mother-in-law. And I don't think that Martin is going to be too happy about that if it ever comes out. But so she's talking, and Leah says that she's not going to get the authorities involved, let her handle it in house or whatever. So Nicole is at the nurse's desk, and when Ashley gets back from Orphe Jeans, and Ashley is all antsy, but she need to chill out about, if Leah is saying things about her, because she feels like Leah rides her too hard. And Nicole's like, "Have you noticed anyone around my office?" She said, "Yeah, girl, you was popular. Like, Naomi was there. I thought she was coming to see me, but she was actually coming to see her favorite aunt." And I'm like, favorite? And then she was like, and then Smitty was here. She was like, "Smitty didn't even tell me that he was here." So Smitty never sent the text message or left the note for Nicole like he said he was going to do, or any of that. Smitty is a liar, and he was just basically trying to use his mother-in-law. and the fact that she works at the hospital and had access to the information that he thinks can help, which the information that he got is not even, I don't think it's going to be helpful, because he needs information on Leah and not necessarily the other techs in the lab. So you still not getting what you need, Smitty, and you done compromised your mother-in-law. It's just horrible. And so Nicole then asked Ashley if she's seen the chief, and she was like, she might be on P's, and she was like, yeah, well, I was just there. She's not there. Leah had went over to Orphe Jeans because Malone had texted her to see what's going on at her hospital. And so she comes over, and then with she's getting into it with um sorry, she's getting into it with Leslie. And I'm like, so the chief can get into it with Leslie, Vanessa can get into it with Leslie, but everybody else has to tiptoe around Leslie. Huh, interesting. But I'll keep my opinions to myself. And there she gets into it with Leslie, and then he leaves, and then um she kind of um points Marcel into Nicole's direction, and he goes to question Nicole, and Nicole was like, yeah, I'm not answering your questions, because Leah had told her that they're handling it in-house. And then he said, your boss told me, and she sent me, she is handling in-house, that's why she went to me, so that I can investigate it off the books or whatever. And so she was like, well, I don't know who could have did it, basically. Like, I don't have a clue. Which she doesn't have a clue that it was her stupid son-in-law. But anyway, she calls Smitty too, and was like, can you call me when you get a chance? But he hasn't called her back yet. But anyway, then we have Vanessa and Darnell, and they're talking about, he knows that the rift between her and Deanna is weighing on her. Meanwhile, Deanna is at Joey's having the conversation, asking him the question that we saw on Friday, like, were you sleeping with my mom while my dad was still alive? Something happens at the casino, and one of his workers comes in to get him. So instead of saying yes or no, because it was a simple yes or no question, you didn't have to elaborate. You could say yes or no and then go on about your business. But instead of saying yes or no, he leaves to go handle his business, and then Deanna leaves. And I'm like, girl, you got all the information you needed, basically, because not answering is an answer sometimes. But he calls Vanessa, and he tells Vanessa to come down there, and she comes, and he tells her, and she is like going off the kids, the twins, they're, how dare they? And then she, like, is Joey gonna get her to turn against her kids? You know what? And knowing Vanessa, she'll go right along with it, because she about crazy right now. But anyway, then she meets back up with the twins, and she sees them, and her and Deanna get into it yet again. And I'm just waiting for, because Deanna be coming for the jugular, and I be clutching my pearls. But I'm waiting for either Deanna to slap her mama, or her mama to slap her, because it seems like it's coming, because it be getting spicy. But I don't know. I'm team Deanna. Especially knowing the fact that he had Doug killed. And I think that's the part that I really has me really on Deanna's side, because you're lying to her about this man that had her father killed. Like, That's crazy. But yeah, that was Beyond the Gates for today. Let me know what you guys thought of today's episode down in the comments. And I will see you tomorrow for tomorrow's episode.